What's up guys, Ryan Lee here from Cashflow Tactics. You are back on the Money Mastery channel where you come to learn how to master your money. I have a very important topic to discuss with you today. An article came across my desk that I want to share with you because this highlights one of the major problems, but also one of the major opportunities as it relates to your money. Now listen, if you're paying attention to anything that's going on in the world right now,
Congress is set to vote this week on a bipartisan agreement to suspend the debt ceiling.
Raising the debt ceiling will resume this morning.
Medicaid work requirements, 2.2 million adults losing coverage.
The bill is passed.
Congress is constantly raising the debt ceiling. What does that actually mean? Our US government is coming up against a threshold at which they have to constantly give themselves the ability to borrow more money. This might not seem like anything new to you, right? We're constantly talking about the national debt, and every president that's come in for the last 20 plus years has increased the national debt by trillions of dollars. I want to point out something really staggering about this article right here. Okay, I'm gonna jump right to paragraph number 2 where it says, along with steady increases in America's national debt, the federal government's borrowing costs on the debt are expected to triple over the next decade. Now, here's what I want you to consider about this, guys. This might not seem like your problem, but I assure you it is. Where most Americans today, 71% of retirement assets that people are building up are sitting in a very specific type of taxable vehicle. Now, if you're watching this video and you have money in a tax-deferred IRA or a tax-deferred 401k or an SEP account or anything like that, ultimately what you've done is you deferred your greatest liability. What this article is equating to national security, I want you to equate to your retirement security because you've deferred your taxes. And the cost of interest, the cost of borrowing is going to require the federal government to do something. Okay, to do something unprecedented. Number one, they might just default on their debt. We might be at that point coming up in the very near future that we as the America people have to default on our debt. Never before has this been done. The dollar is weakening around the country, and the confidence in the dollar as the world reserve currency is going down. There are many countries that are fighting against the idea that the dollar is the world reserve currency. That's number one, we might default. Number two, if we don't default and we want to hold the status of the world reserve currency, which is very, very important for a global superpower as America is, we have to come up with the interest to pay this debt. We have to come up with the debt itself. Now, my friends, I'm gonna scroll to another website really quick, then we're gonna come back to this. I'm gonna scroll over here to this website. It's called usdebtclock.org, usdebtclock.org. And what this does, this is a real-time tracker that I'm gonna just put a disclaimer up here right now. You're gonna puke when you see this page. At the very top left-hand corner, this is tracking the US national debt. As of right now, it's $34 trillion. And we are right up against that debt ceiling yet again. Now, here's the craziest part. If we look at the American citizen, this next box over right here, it would cost debt per citizen, just every single citizen in the United States, it would cost each one of us $100,000 to come up with enough money to pay off the debt. Now, that's not the worst part about this. The next box over is not every citizen is paying taxes. If we took the debt and said, okay, only the taxpayers are gonna pay off the debt, it would cost an American citizen, a tax-paying citizen, $250,000 to pay off the national debt. Now guys, the statistic right now is people entering the last decade, about 10 years prior to retirement, the average amount of total asset value that people have after they've accumulated it for almost their entire life is around $260,000, which means you as an American citizen have worked your entire life to have $250,000. And if you as an American citizen are required to satisfy the debt of the national government, then it's gonna cost you everything you've saved. Here's where the biggest liability, the threat to national security is. I want you to imagine what would happen in the streets of America if the next politician who was elected, the next president who took the Oval Office said, hey, guys, I'm sorry, we are broke, we are bankrupt as a country, and therefore, we're gonna have to make some drastic cuts. Everyone who is getting Social Security, that is done. Everyone who is getting Medicare or Medicaid, that is done. We do not have enough money to pay for it because look down here, the unfunded liabilities. This is in addition to the national debt. This is what the government has already promised. $26 trillion in Social Security, $40 trillion in Medicare, and $211 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And what that means is we, as an American nation, have made promises to people who have already paid into this system that equate to $211 trillion. and there's no money. There is $0 to pay for those unfunded liabilities. And if we wanted to make this just this made whole, it would cost every citizen, not just a taxpayer, but every citizen $630,000. If you can see this, guys, this is why this is such a major problem. This is why it is a threat to national security. It is threatening our ability to be the world global power that we are. It is threatening our ability to hold the world reserve currency, and it's threatening our very own well-being here in America. Here is Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, the Speaker of the House. He's saying the national debt is the greatest threat to America's national security, and the current addiction to reckless spending cannot be sustained. My friends, I just showed you why it cannot be sustained. This is something that you have to pay attention to, because one way or the other, this has to be rectified. The toll has to be paid. Now, here's the other thing I want you guys to consider, okay? Down here on this paragraph, it says, responding to the news of the national debt's new record, the White House blamed Republicans, claiming that the tax breaks for the corporations have overwhelmingly led to the increase in national debt. I'm sure if we kept reading that the Republicans are blaming the Democrats. Here's what I want you to consider. There is nobody coming to save you. In fact, there is a video, we'll link it here in the show notes, where we've talked about the national debt that has been added by every single president for the last 20 plus years, Republican or Democrat. They all play the same game. They spend money that they don't have, and they put that liability on your shoulders and my shoulders. Now, what does this have to do with you? My friends, in this wonderful little book right here, this little purple Bible for achieving financial freedom, there's a whole section in here on a principle of money that most people fail to understand. I failed to understand it in the beginning. In this book, it says debt is money. Now, I want you to consider that for just a minute, because at the end of the day, when most Americans experience debt, they do experience that it is money. They have money that they can go spend when they swipe a credit card, but ultimately what happens to that is the liability that they're incurring is their future production, their future work to pay off what they just spent. Now, America, our nation, has gone into that same mindset where we've spent money that we don't currently have, but I want you to consider the asset that's backing the national debt is your labor. It's your assets. It's your money. It's your deferred taxation. It's your 401k. It's whatever is out there that the government can seize in the events that they want to prevent the threat to national security and seize money to pay the national debt. Robert Kiyosaki talks a lot about in this book that you have to be able to look on the edge of the coin, not heads, not tails, not Republican, not Democrat, not good or bad. You have to be able to look on the edge to see, how does this impact me, and how can I make the best decision relative to what I'm trying to accomplish? If you understand the game of debt, you understand that we are built, our economy and our country is built on debt, right? Banks operate on money that they don't actually have. Taxes obviously operate on money that the government doesn't actually have. Credit operates on money that no one actually has. The entire economy is built on the concept of leverage and debt. Now, most people use this to their disadvantage. They put themselves in a hole where they have to trade their time to pay off the debt. But what if you flipped it on the other side? What if you looked at this from the side of, what if I use debt like the government is using debt? What if I take money from resources that I have access to, and I use that money to accomplish a short-term objective, and the responsibility to pay off that objective isn't on me, but it's on someone else. This is the entire game of real estate. Consider this. You can go to a bank right now and say, look, bank, I have this property right here, and I want to gain debt. I want to use debt as money to buy that property. Now, the bank is going to look at the property and say, okay, that property has enough value in it, that property has enough, rent income coming into it, that yes, we will lend you money. You're borrowing that money to buy a real asset. Now, here's the craziest part. Are you paying back that asset? An investor is someone who buys an asset where their primary concern is safety of principal and an adequate return in the form of dividends, interest, or rent. Now, what that means for you, you're gonna buy a rental property, someone's gonna rent that property out, they're going to pay enough rent that will satisfy the mortgage, they're paying back your debt for you, and you get to own and control the assets. So my friends, yes, debt is money. Yes, the national debt is the greatest threat to national security, but it's also the greatest tool to build wealth. I hope you've gained a little bit of insight on this video on what is going on in the economy, because what is going on for most people will literally wreck them. If you're deferring your taxes, you are shifting one of your biggest liabilities to something that you have no control over, and I promise you there are a lot of eyeballs on those accounts and that deferred taxation. But if you understand how to play the rules of the game, play the rules of the game to win. Debt is money. The government understands that. Now the only question is, will you? Guys, if you like this video, give me a comment down below. Understanding how to use debt as money. If you struggle in any aspect, in any way, getting over the mindset of debt is bad and want to be able to use debt as a tool to build your wealth, then just comment down below. We'll point you to other videos. We'll help you see how you can use debt, just like the American government, to build up your short-term goals and achieve ultimately financial freedom. All right, so guys, really quick, let's tie this back into what really matters. You are here to learn how to master your money, how to use your money as a tool to retire, to have confidence inside of your financial game plan, and to own and control your time. Now, guys, what you've been taught, what you've been trained, taught, and educated to do by the national system, the system from schooling to education to traditional retirement, is to take your hard-earned money, not to master it, but to give it to someone else and to assume that that other person has some level of mastery on your behalf. Now, if you really look behind the curtains, what you see is they are putting your money into tax-deferred vehicles. They are putting your money into accounts that they don't have control over, neither do you. My friends, you will never achieve financial freedom. You will never have complete confidence in your financial plan unless you raise your financial intelligence. Money is just a tool, and how you use it depends on your financial intelligence. You, my friend, are here to master your money, raise your financial IQ, and achieve financial freedom. It's not a dream, it's not a myth, it's not a hopeful destination for one day. It's something that can actually methodically be achieved in 10 years or less when you understand tools like this. Debt is money. Thank you for joining me today, my friends. Watch the next video where you will see more details on how to master your money and how to achieve financial freedom no matter where you're starting. I'll see you on the next one.